Hey garden friends, welcome to another episode of AJ's Green Thumb. So I've since wrapped up this second pergola garden, and now I'm going to go ahead and concentrate on these dahlias. Hey friends, AJ here. So I've been purposely putting off storing these dahlias because I understand that Zone 7, A and B are pretty much at the cusp. You can actually keep your dahlias in ground. If you have a relatively mild winter, and relatively mild means if you don't have temps that are consistently below freezing, as seems to be the case this far into the season, and we're already pushing December 1st, you can actually use a technique where you heavily mulch your dahlias with a layer about 3 to 5 inches thick. So where did I learn this technique? Actually, I don't know it by experience. I'll be honest. I actually saw a video of a gardener who is in Pennsylvania, and they're also in a zone 7A to be exact. And it proved to them to work for many years, I think 5+ years. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a risk and do just that. Let me show you guys the current state of the dahlias. All right guys, so this is what we're looking at. I know it looks like a bomb went off. So all the dahlias, all the foliage, the stalks have all shriveled up. All right. Closer inspection here. From the flower heads to the crispy leaves. Everything has died down. As I go through this process, I want to make sure that I use safety practices in disinfecting my tools. I'm cautious as not to spread any supposed diseases from one plant to the other. So I'll be spraying after I cut. Every time I cut, I go ahead and spray with some rubbing alcohol. So I made sure I went and got a whole bunch of labels. That's important. So the steps I'm going to use is first removing all of the staking. Make sure that each plant is identified using these labels. Then I'll go ahead and cut the plant down to 3 inches from the soil line. And then as a precaution, so that I'm not spreading or harboring any diseases, I'm going to go ahead and spray the entire bed with a fungicide. I'm not going to saturate it, I'm not going to use a hose, but I'm just going to spray it with the solution. I'll show you guys when I do that. And then I'll follow up with the heavy mulching. When you guys see that video that I'm going to reference, what my understanding is, dahlias are perennials. They are in fact perennials. Even though us up in zone 7A and lower use these more as annuals, they're actually perennials. So the danger of leaving your dahlias in these lower zones is frost and freeze. That freeze and thaw. That freeze and thaw cycle is what will be the doom of your dahlias. Not so much the cold itself, but more so when they get wet with snow and it infiltrates the soil, and then it freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws. That can destroy your dahlia tubers. Think of them as potatoes. So what we're gonna do once everything is heavily mulched, I'll go ahead and lay a tarp or a really thick black plastic sheathing and make sure that all the soil surfaces are covered. So after I lay that tarp or that plastic on top, it'll prevent any moisture from rain, snow, sleet, whatever, from being absorbed into the ground and thereby causing that havoc of thawing and freezing and thawing and freezing. All right, guys, so I'm just gonna demonstrate on a few of the tubers, not all of them. I'll spare you guys. All right, first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen my tools. That's pretty sharp. All right, so the first dahlia to get the chop will be this double shine right here. It grew roughly to about 4 feet, I'd say. Pretty impressive. So like I said, I removed the stake. Being careful not to be hopping from plant to plant. I'm gonna stick with one plant at a time. So like I said, this is a double shine. I'll throw a picture of it on the screen. And I'm not necessarily going to color code anything. Be sure to label it on both sides. Or I can just put DS for double shine. I think what I'll do for the future is come up with a better labeling system. That way I can save time. So real simple, I'll just go ahead and throw this hook onto the stalk, spray my tools, go up about 3 inches and cut. Simple as that. Now, referencing that video, the grower said that she chops up the leaves and leaves it on top of the soil. I don't want to take a chance and do that because there may be some disease on some of the dahlias. I'm not too certain of that. I dealt with a little bit of spider mites. I know that for a fact, but I'm not too certain that some of the dahlias may actually have diseases associated with them. So I'm not gonna use that practice this time around. Now, you can also see that I have a whole lot of weeds on top of this bed. But being that these did not come to flower, I don't think they produced any seeds. So I'll just leave them here and they'll provide nitrogen or nutrition for the soil. So before I cut, I go ahead and spray. Detach the stake. This one is called Go-Go Speckled. So one thing in my favor is that the labels have stayed on most of these dahlias. So I can simply just keep them as is and move on a little quicker. Because once everything is heavily mulched and the tarp is secured on top, I really don't see these labels going anywhere. So I may skip that step. All right, guys, so you get the idea. I'll go ahead and get all of this done and show you the end result. Hey guys, check this out. This Lucky right here, I think it's Lucky Strike. Look at that. It's been so mild that it's putting out new growth. So it's already putting out aggressive new eyes. Look at that. Crazy. So I know these dahlias are fine. They've been through a few frosts and maybe a freeze or two, but they're fine. So with me being in tune to my weather or my environment, I'm gonna go ahead and, take a risk and try this experiment, see if it works. All right, so all dahlias have been cut back and labeled or relabeled, just to make sure, just to make certain that we keep track of them. Here's a Miss Brandy right here, labeled twice. Another Miss Brandy. Some of them did not make it, and I just simply removed the labels because I'm sure the tubers are rotted, or like I said, they just didn't make it. So they'll provide great nutrition for the rest of the dahlias. All right, garden friends, in a nutshell, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a chance, take a risk, try this experiment, and we'll just see what we get next spring. Thanks for hanging with me on this episode of AJ's Green Thumb. See you on the next one.